Somewhere along the way, I got this idea that I had to earn love, that love was something to be earned, that I needed to be healed enough. I had to heal so many blocks, and ultimately, I wasn't whole enough, and that I needed to get somewhere before I could really finally receive it all, including my twin flame. But that is not true. And I know this because I believed this for a very long time. There was a Christmas a few years back where I reflect on quite a bit because I'm still so much in awe of how far things have changed since that Christmas. But during that Christmas, I was alone. I didn't have my children. I spent it by myself. And not only did I feel physically alone, but in a way that felt like things were never going to change. And I remember sitting there just imagining what it would feel like to be a part of a family and what it ultimately would feel like to be a part of my twin flames family. And at this time, me and my twin flame were still just friends, but I knew in my heart and what God was showing me was this was my person. And so as I was sitting at this table alone, I just imagined his family sitting around me, having conversations, just enjoying the holiday, belonging, feeling like I was included, what it felt to be loved by them. I remember feeling how far away it seemed. And it made me really emotional. Not because I didn't believe it was possible, but because I didn't believe that I was ready for it and that it was going to take a really long time before that could even come together. And I believe there was still so much more healing that had to be done, more growth, more work, more just becoming this person who got to have all the things that she desired. And really and truly underneath all of it was this quiet belief that love was something that I had to earn and that maybe I wasn't good enough yet to have those things. I just sat there and I imagined this life that felt really honestly so distant, not realizing the only thing that was separating me from it was just this belief that I wasn't ready or worthy of receiving it. And in that moment, something changed in me. It's not because I learned a new technique or because I figured out a secret, but it was because I realized that all I needed to do was finally agree with what God had already known all along and really see how God saw me. God had never looked at me and seen someone who was not worthy or needed to become worthy. God saw someone who was already whole and divine, who was already worthy and loved and enough. And I think that's where a lot of us get really stuck, is feeling like we have to be something or become something to be loved and valuable and enough. But what if healing happens inside of love? What if you come to a place of loving yourself so much that that is really what you were seeking the whole time when you were healing, was just to feel that love? What if the reason we heal isn't because we're finally becoming worthy? What if we heal because we finally allow ourselves to receive the love that has always been available, that's always been here? And I used to think that every trigger meant that I wasn't ready, and I had so many things that I had to work through before I could be ready. But now I see that every trigger was a place where I still just needed my own love, and that it was coming up to show me that that was the next place to love. And I used to think that healing was a proof that I was broken and that I just had all these distorted pieces. And I used to think that I was just this project that needed to be fixed, but God never saw me that way. And so if you're waiting to feel like you have to become worthy, that is really the belief that you want to let go of. If you really simply thought how God saw you, which is you're already worthy, you would see all the things that you desire come into your life so quickly. And that is really what turned for me and what allowed the impossible to become possible. This last Christmas, I found myself sitting at the table with my family, because they're my family now, our family, looking across at my twin flame. I was very emotional because I was just like, wow, the year before I sat alone and I wondered what it would feel like to be with them. And the moment became very still. And I realized that I was living in something that I had prayed for literally the year before. It makes me emotional when I think about it, because there's just so much love that comes from the love that I've given myself. And it was not because I finally became perfect or because I had healed every wound. And it wasn't because I finally got everything right. The life I wanted didn't arrive because I finally earned it. It was the life that I knew that I deserved. And it arrived because I stopped arguing with the truth. And I stopped making love something I had to deserve. And I stopped abandoning myself while trying to love those parts of myself that needed my attention. And from that place, that is where everything began to unfold. And so I sat there and realized that, wow, I really could have anything and everything that I wanted. If I could feel and believe it within me, it could truly become my reality. And that is what I experienced this last Christmas, was just feeling so loved by his family. Something that felt so impossible became the possible, because that's what God had for me all along. And that was what I was truly having to align with, is what God had for me versus what my own mind could possibly come up with. And so know that you're always ready. If you could say one thing to the version of me sitting alone at that table and you would tell me, like, Kanisha, you get to have this, I would have thought, this is going to take so long. And what I really needed to hear was that I didn't have to earn love, that I didn't have to become this perfect version of myself first, that I didn't have to prove my worthiness and that I was deserving of love. I didn't have to wait. I didn't have to do anything, because I was already loved. I was already worthy. I was already enough. And not because I healed every wound and saw every block and moved through everything. It was not because I had to get somewhere to be in union with my twin flame. And it's not because I had to become someone different. It was because God decided that what was true about me was the one thing that I was doubting the most. And when I stopped doubting it, that is when things really unfolded quite quickly. So instead of asking yourself, am I healed enough yet? Am I ready yet? Do I deserve this? Maybe ask yourself, what am I still refusing to love that's already here? What lie am I probably holding on about myself that isn't how God sees me? Because the healing isn't found in becoming worthy. You're inherently worthy. The healing is found in finally believing that you already were, that you already are. You always were. And as you continuously believe in that and have faith in that, the desires and the dreams that you have, even beyond just being in your twin flame union, will absolutely come to fruition. It will become the reality that you finally get to live in. And that is what I get to live every single day. And I'm so grateful that I didn't give up and that I continuously chose love instead of fear or doubt. And now I'm living my best life, engaged to my twin flame, planning a wedding, things that I thought were going to take forever. But really, it was a blink of an eye when I look back at it, because it was just a change in my perspective and understanding that I was already enough and I was already lovable and that I'm worthy and I can have it and I'm deserving. So I hope this video encourages you to not give up and to keep moving forward and to keep uprooting any lies that you might be holding on about yourself, and knowing that you already deserve the things that you desire. You don't have to become something else. You already are.